It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. Today we're going to be talking about an interview that Craig Tate, who's going to play Donald Okafor, did with comicbook.com and Brendan Davis regarding the character and some potentially interesting story between Rick and Okafor and a major scene between the two of them. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break this down. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive right into it. Now, of course, like I said, this was an interview that Craig Tate, who'll play Donald Okafor, did with Brendan Davis of comicbook.com regarding the series and his character. One of the things that he brought up is the fact that Donald Okafor and Rick Grimes have a different and interesting chemistry. And if they were both in different situations and they weren't forced into the situation that they're in, they would have been buddies having beer, which is definitely super interesting. So there's definitely going to be some pretty epic dynamic between the two of them. Now, one thing that this reveals is that maybe Donald Okafor is in a similar situation as Rick. Maybe he doesn't really have that much control over the stuff that he has to do. Maybe he just looks at it as, I have a job to do and I have to get that job done. Similar, interestingly, to how Mercer acted initially with the Commonwealth, because he was obviously also aware of all of the things going on with the Commonwealth and Pamela Milton and all of that, but he didn't really speak out until he was encouraged and until he saw that things are crossing boundaries that he doesn't really agree with anymore. So I feel like it might be a similar type of situation with Donald Okafor, which is definitely interesting. Now, of course, it's not surprising that Rick and Okafor are gonna have a lot of scenes together and there's going to be this dynamic between them because, of course, they're both soldiers for the CRM, high-ranking soldiers, most likely. Well, for Okafor, we know he is, but for Rick, it's most likely that as well. So it's definitely in the realm of possibilities that there's going to be some interesting dynamic between them and some interesting back and forth. Now, with that said, this leads to another thing. Brendan Davis did mention after seeing the first 3 episodes that Donald Okafor has a key role in the story, which I never expected. I thought that maybe Major General Beale will have a major story, Michonne obviously, Rick obviously, but I never thought that Donald Okafor will be given that opportunity as a character to have a key role within the story. So I'm definitely intrigued to see what that's all about. I wonder if he's going to be the one that helps Rick in possibly taking down Major General Beale or something to that effect. But with all of that said, let's talk a little bit about another thing that was mentioned. So Brendan Davis, in his interview with Craig Tate, did say that there is this scene between Rick and Donald Okafor that's super interesting. And it's a scene where Donald Okafor brings Rick Grimes up to speed about something. He clears up a mystery that's been in Rick's mind and the fans' minds. And that really opens up a lot of conversation between them. And it reveals a lot about how Donald Okafor sees Rick, which is super interesting. I mean, I can't really think of any mysteries that could potentially be brought up with Okafor and Rick to line up with everything that was kind of revealed. The only thing I can think of is maybe something to do with early on, maybe with the involvement of CRM or something. But then again, that's something that Major General Beale would be in the position of revealing to Rick. Not so much so with Okafor, but the other possibility is maybe Heath's disappearance. Maybe Okafor is aware of that or was aware of that and knows what happened. But then again, Rick didn't really talk about it. I mean, he obviously knew that Heath disappeared, but no one really knew what happened and they didn't really bring it up. So I don't really see any conversation between Rick and Donald Okafor getting to a point where they start talking about Heath's disappearance. You know what I mean? Unless maybe there's some sort of relationship between Okafor and Heath. That could be something, but then again, it doesn't really line up perfectly. But of course, in one of the teasers, we did see Rick fighting with someone, and it definitely looks like the person he's fighting with is Donald Okafor. So I wonder if this scene is related to the scene that they were mentioning and teasing or not, but we know that there's going to be some sort of conflict between Rick and Donald Okafor for sure. Now, the other thing that was revealed when it comes to this character is that him and another CRM soldier, Pearl Thorne, who we've seen in the teasers and trailers, go way back. Pearl Thorne was actually in the oceans in South Africa on the brink of death when Donald Okafor saved her. That's definitely super interesting. And they did mention that there's this sort of comrade relationship and trust between them, which is also super, super interesting. So I wonder if there's a situation where both Donald Okafor and Pearl Thorne are the ones that help Rick Grimes and Michonne take down Major General Beale. I could be wrong, but things are definitely lining up for that sort of story to happen. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.